we always kind of start with where Conference USA stands with realignment. Obviously, the news with UTEP taking a spot with the Mountain West, it's going to leave you uneven as you add a couple. Tell me kind of where you stand with that.
Yeah, we've been at 11 before. So, I think our sports services staff that do schedules every year are kind of like, could you just get to a number and stay there so we could have some consistent scheduling? But we feel really good with the 11 we have right now. We'll always examine it. The board, our presidents are really active in that space. But right now, I guess we could walk out of here an hour later, something else might happen in the country. But right now we feel good about it.
Sure. Just more of a Western-specific question. With all the realignments USA has seen the last couple of years, how do you feel Western fits into CUSA now compared to maybe 2 years ago?
Yeah, I mean, one thing I will say that I really want to say, like this facility and what they've done with all the facilities, the commitment here. You look at the leadership from Todd Stewart to President Caboni. Dr. Caboni chaired our board for 2.5 years, almost 3 years. Todd was our chair last year. They're a tremendous part of Conference USA. The leadership in the rooms with our ADs, our presidents, our coaches. I mean, this Western Kentucky brings so much to us. So I think, things were crazy for a while, and they may be crazy again. So we'll just see what happens. But WKU is really important to us.
It's kind of inevitable to kind of like see teams like leave conferences and stuff. How important is it to kind of have these like big schools come into Conference USA to kind of remake the conference as teams leave?
Yeah, it's been really important. Kennesaw, for example, they have 47,000 students and they have a ton of potential. Next year we'll add Missouri State and Delaware. Obviously, everyone knows that, but they become official July 1. And they're both having great years. And so we feel good about what we've rebuilt. Again, it was an interesting time, but really like the group we have now. And, now we got to figure out, in general, college athletics. It's changing rapidly. It's going to continue to change rapidly. Where do we fit? What kind of things can we do together as a conference? And I don't think anyone has a crystal ball of what's going to happen. But we're trying to be as proactive and prepared as we can as we work with our membership. But we want to make sure that our programs still have a chance to be nationally relevant. And, I don't know if it's old-fashioned or what, maybe it's because I'm older now, but I still think the value of college athletics and what it can do for young people to get their education and really develop as people is super important, and we can't lose that amidst everything else.
With Liberty going through a New Year's Six Bowl last year, and of course the big red helmets, all this exposure for the conference, how important is that for the conference?
It's huge. The weekday games, I know we're in our final night, I guess, of weekday CUSA. The exposure that Kennesaw got last week, if that game's on a Saturday and buried, it's still a national headline because of what they did, but they don't get nearly what they got on a weekday. So I think our fan bases are adjusting. Our students have been great coming out to games. But the exposure that we're getting for our programs, especially when we're a relatively new group together, and to build that and show the country what we're all about, the exposure's been just fantastic.
As you look at the conference right now, it's kind of obviously an odd fit. I mean, an odd footprint. Is it something that you see as long-term sustainable, or do you need to add West, or what do you do to kind of make it a little more balanced?
A lot of conferences these days are kind of odd footprints, so we're certainly not the outlier there. The geography part is a tough conversation. We've talked a ton about some regional scheduling initiatives in sports other than football and basketball. We'll continue to work on that. And then, I think finding the right fit of if we were to add down the road is super important. My phone continues to ring, and so that's a good thing, that people want to be a part of Conference USA. But we'll do the best job we can to, work with the geography that we have. I mean, that's what we have right now, and we'll figure it out. I'm not sure, it would be great if somewhere down the line we did a bunch of things that made a lot of common sense in college athletics, but, we'll deal with the geography that we have.
People have debated the weekday or weekend games. Do you believe that weekday games benefit more than having a game on the weekend? And will there be maybe more down the line?
Yeah, so right now we're in the second year of our media agreements. And so they go 3 more years, and then there's an option year. So it could go 4 more years. So right now, for the next 4 years, we'll play weekday in October. It's really interesting now. The Big Ten's playing on some other days. I mean, they're not playing Tuesday, Wednesday, but everybody's starting to try to find a window for themselves. And again, I have to give our coaches a ton of credit, because when we first started talking about doing this, we went to our coaches. It upsets. Football is very structured and what they do on a weekly basis, and so it upsets that. But our coaches were all in. They're like, if it's going to help the league, then that's what we want to do. So we'll see it for at least 3, maybe 4 more years, and then reevaluate.
When it comes to bringing teams into Conference USA, I mean, a lot of the newcomers coming in are moving up, especially football-wise, from FCS schools to FBS schools. I mean, I'm sure that that's a little bit of a different transition in there for them. How do you really determine what schools are the best fit for Conference USA, as well as how do you kind of help those schools transition into the different period?
Yeah, and we've seen Jacksonville State out of the box last year have a great year, and then Sam Houston struggled a little bit, but we're our first bowl eligible team this year. So when you can find some schools that have a winning tradition, the transfer portal actually helps in this case. Everybody's down on the transfer portal. You can build a team pretty quickly with the transfer portal. But it's just important that they have our board has 30 data points they look at. Everything from the university to what's going on in athletics and the kind of support they have for athletics and the commitment. And so finding the right fit's important. There's some great schools out there that, we'll always continue to look at and see if something makes sense as they continue to develop. But this conference has had a rich tradition of bringing people. If there were, when we first got Liberty and New Mexico State, obviously they were already FBS. But, you look at UT San Antonio, Charlotte, others that have joined Conference USA and now have moved on, have had a lot of success. So there's not a exact science, I would say, to determining who's the right fit. But again, it's a very involved process.
Have time for 2 more.
Just want to ask you about conference championships too. Obviously, I think Huntsville was kind of a hit with this fan base as a neutral site. Your thoughts on that venue, and is there any discussion about finding something like that for football or any other sport?
Yeah, so Huntsville was great year 1. I think we learned a lot of what we can build on down there. So we'll play there this year and next year. We're contracted to do that, and then we'll see where we are after that. I think year 1 was especially good because your fans came and Middle Tennessee's fans came, and so having each of you in a championship game was great for the crowd. We need to develop the Huntsville community as well and get them to come to the games. Football, it's just, probably going back to geography, your other question, hard to pick a spot that we could get fans to travel to. So right now we feel good about hosting on a home campus, but we'll never not look at it. It's always a topic of conversation. You know, we've done some neutral site baseball in the past, and if we found the right spot, we would consider that again. But again, all those decisions are membership decisions, and right now, it's good that we can rotate some around and see other campuses and give people the opportunity to host.
One last one? All good? Commissioner, thank you.
All right.